Hi and welcome to Building Rocks. Yes, we're going to do the dreaded rocks, the one we've not been looking forward to, but I'm going to show you some cool techniques on how to quickly model rock shapes very quickly. So let's jump straight in and start doing that now. Okay, so here's where we left off. You can see I've just been moving some objects around to get a sense of size, and already I can tell these feel quite small, and I think it's because the hut is quite big. But I'm going to leave everything until we get into Unity and we can actually walk around it, and that will give us a much better sense of scale. Like I said before, everything you model tends to feel too small if it's real size, so you kind of like to exaggerate stuff to make it feel much grander and give it more presence in the scene. And we'll see that when we put all this into Unity. Okay, so rocks, right, so we want to go to create, and yes, we're going to start with a box. Turn on snap and make it square for now. So we go, yeah, that's a big rock. I like big rocks. Turn off snap. Let's just move it into more of a position. There we go. Right, so we go to modify. We do this before we change it into an editable poly. So we add some length, width and height segments. Say 6. Yeah, that should do it. 6, 6 and 6. That's quite a lot. You'll notice up here I've got my statistics showing up. You know, I just find this really handy. So we've got 430 tries for a big rock, and that's pretty good going. To get this up, just go onto your plus, configure your viewports, go along to statistics here, and just tick total plus selection, put poly count, although you don't have to, but it's interesting to see, and tick triangle count, and down the bottom here make sure show statistics in active view is selected, and then click apply and go OK. There we go, and you should have this top left of your screen. It's just handy, and you can see polygons to 2322 in this entire scene, which is really nothing at all, and triangles 4486, again peanuts. In terms of what we're gonna have by the end, you can expect that to have a couple of zeros on the end easily, I think, by the time we've finished. Anyway, so we've got our cube, and we're going to do something very strange now. We're going to turn it into a sphere while it's in this form. So over here in my modifier list, I've already got a spherify modifier. Okay, so if you haven't got this modify list displayed like this, if yours looks like this, just right click on modifier list and click on show buttons, and this will come up. They might be different because you can customize them. Now if you want to customize them, just right click on modifier list and go to configure modify sets, and you get this window here. Now to change, you can increase the number of them. Currently I've got 14, and that's fine for now. I can add some more if I want to, but just by increasing the total buttons number. If you want to change them, let's say edit normals, I want to change to, I'll just choose one, displace. Just double click and it will change, and then click OK and it will change, and it will change over here too. That's how you set these up. So you'll see I've got spherify here. Just click on that and it will turn your box into a sphere, which is exactly what we want. Now, it might look a bit odd for now, and just by looking at it at funny angles, it looks like some sharp corners there, but in fact it isn't at all, and we'll sort that out in a minute. I'll show you how to get rid of that, because if you turn off edges, you'll see you got these weird lines, but ignore that for now. we can get rid of that quite easily. Just turn edges back on so you can see what you're doing. Now you might be wondering why I've done that. Okay, so if we go to create and we've got two options. We can do a geosphere or we can do a sphere. Geosphere, as you know, triangles. Not using that. Certainly not using that. If we use the regular sphere, this is okay, but the topology of a sphere doesn't give us sort of good movement for rocks. It's just not. If you're doing something spherical, then that's fine. You're not going to change it much. Perfectly fine. But for what we're going to do, we want a bit more even spread on the quads. So delete that. Use Spherify to do that to your cube. If you go back to modify, select the sphere, and you can see I've used it there. Okay, so now on top of that, sorry, if it's not in your list or on your display here, just click in here and scroll down until you come to the S, and you'll see it in the list. Then just click on it there and it'll just work just the same. The next one we're going to use is FFD. FFD, it means freeform deformation, and we're using the box mode. You'll see there's others down here, 2x2x2, 4x4x4, but we're going to use box. So if you click on that, or if you haven't got it on your display here, then just find it down here, ABCDF. There it is, FFD box. And the reason why we're using the box version is because we can choose how many points in our rig, in our cage if you like, we can have. So we can set the number of points here. So I can make that 6x6x6. Click OK, and it increases, which is really cool. Probably don't want that many. I'm going to take it back to say 5. 5 should be plenty. There you go, 5. So the box one is really handy. And what this is basically, like I said, it's a cage. But this cage you can modify, so you can pull it around, and I'll show you that now. If you click on this little arrow here, so as it opens up this list, and then click on control points, all of these points become active. So if you wanted a flat bottom to your rock, just select all the bottom and just push it up a bit. Select the bottom 2 rows and push up a bit. And then really all we're going to do is start pulling it around. So let's pull this rock around like that. You know, this is fun really. I know rocks aren't very interesting objects to create, but they can be. It can be a lot of fun. Just it's a bit like the freeform tool, which we're going to use again in a minute on top of this. But it's kind of another sort of sculpting sort of feature of Max, which is really cool. You know, and you can pull out individual verts, push down individual verts. Let's undo that. Pull a couple on the side, like so, make it a bit more jaggedy, give it a bit more, a few more sharper edges. You know, it's starting to look very rock-like. And we haven't been, we've been going a few minutes. Yeah, just keep going until you're happy with your rock shape. It's a bit not a good shape, so let's just change that slightly. Okay, so that's looking pretty cool. Let's just squish this up a little bit more so we got a bit more of a flatter base. So the good thing about these rocks as well, we can rotate them in the scene, so we can flip them, rotate them, and move them around in the scene, so it appears like we've got a lot more than we actually have. That's an old trick that we used to use in the old days, but I mean these days it's a bit more bespoke. See, you start to lose the shape of the square that we originally started with very quickly, but you kind of keeping the quad sort of topology, which is really nice. This is exactly what we want. And when we come to texture it later, although there is going to be a seam somewhere, it'll be a lot easier to sort out the UV map for these. Once we get it into Painter, it uses triplanar mapping, so even though we have a seam, it should not be noticeable. And I'll explain what triplanar mapping is once we get there. You know, like I said, just keep pulling it around as much as you want till you're happy. Some weird shapes going on. Okay, and when you're done, just close that, right click, collapse all, select yes. There we go. Right, if we turn off edges, at this point you'll see we've still got this where the old square, where the old cube used to be. Now to get rid of that, we just select all the faces. We could enter clear all, and we've got the old cool looking quad, cool looking triangular effect going on. So go back, select them again, just click on auto smooth, and there we go, all gone. Sorry, I did a little break there. I went to get some water. When I came back, I converted to editable poly, and I forgot I paused the recording. So you know how to convert it into an editable poly, so do that. And then we're going to put some noise on it. I don't have noise in my list, so go to my modifier list, go down to N, click on noise, and this is again another deform sort of feature that Max has. And click on fractal, come down on the scale to about 30ish, give it a bit of roughness, and start playing with these. Yeah, pull the scale down some more, not too far. But you can get some really cool effects with noise. You can pull the scale down. So you go too far and it just loses any hope of being a rock, unless you want that kind of weird shape. So just push it back, make sure it stays within the realms of rockiness shape. That's looking cool. Bit of Z deformation there. Yeah, that's starting. You're getting a nice sort of bumpy surface now, which is pretty cool. Look at that. That's really nice. And we can use our freeform in a minute just to modify this again slightly. I really like that. I'm going to leave that. So just right click in there, collapse all again. Yes, there we go. So our fast rock. Let's have a look at the edges. Still retain some pretty good edge flow. Topology is really nice. Yeah, cool. Okay, go to freeform, and you know we've used these tools before. And you can smudge or change the size of our brush. You know, you can now go around and start. You can pull that out a bit because yeah. You can still see where the corners were on the box in places, but that's fine. It doesn't matter because once the UVs are laid out, you know, we'll you won't notice that. You won't see it. It won't be a feature. Pinch. Pinch and spread. Spread that way. Spread that way. So you can see pinch sort of pinches it together. So you got to be careful with that. Don't use it that much, but sometimes it's quite nice to get a sort of like a sharper edge, or you know, like with rocks, you might want a bit of a sharper edge to it. So where you've got these faces that are quite close coming together there, you know, you get a much nicer shape. You get those sharp edges on rocks which don't look out of place. But just be careful. Again, use your smudge just to straighten things like this out. Change my strength. There we go. Yeah, for our first rock, I think that's pretty cool. Let's just put my pivot in the center there. I want to just move that down a bit. So I think it's quite a big rock there. Oops. Yes, pretty hefty sized rock. Okay, so we can, you know, if we're not happy with that, we can always just play with it a little bit more, scale it slightly, scale it overall, just pull the size of it down a little bit. Just comparing it with that barrel. Just pull it back up a bit. There you go. That's okay. Let's change the colour of it to like grey colour. Okay, let's turn edge faces off. Okay, this is our first rock. Once that's all textured out, got a lot of moss on it. I think there's some weirdness going on inside there. So let's just have a look at that, edged faces. Yeah, so you just be careful. Look, you see it's all folding inside. That's because the freeform pushed it. Let's just go to wireframe, override. See what's going on inside there. We might have to just manually straighten this out. See, that's gone inside. We can pull that out. Just pull it back out. Let's just have a look at the shading. Yeah, there's one there that's gone a bit weird. Just pull that back out a bit. Oops, where's it gone? There we go, it's just straightening it out because it went a bit weird when using it. You've got to be careful with the freeform because it can go a bit strange if you're not too careful. There you go, that's better. Yeah, that straightened it out a little bit more. There's a weird line edge there. Look. Okay, much better. There we go. It is a rock, so it's supposed to have weird shapes and things. There you go, that's better. You get these things from time to time, things that just go wrong, and you need to sort of straighten them out, and that's cool. Still got a quad there, which is nice. Let's just move that over there. Yep, so we maintained all the quads there. Let's just smooth those polys out again. There you go, that'll do. That's our first rock. That's fine. That looks cool. And you know what? We might even use these for our final rocks. Once we've unwrapped them, once we've sorted out the UVs, unwrapped them, got them into Painter. Yeah, they might be good enough, because rocks doesn't need to be too high poly, because they just because of their nature. Yeah, no, that's cool. Okay, we'll do the second rock in the next lecture, so I'll see you there.